ICEF's Black Excellence Celebration. This year for Black History Month, we are putting the spotlight on creatives. And I have a wonderful book here that was created by the author Camille Brown. And she wrote this book, Casey's Pet Detective Agency, The Case of the Colorful Cockatiel. And again, that is written by Camille Brown and illustrated by Aloud. Now, one special thing about this book is that Camille is actually a friend of my wife's. And so she has written a little note to all of you. So let me read this. To ICEF students, have fun finding the clues. Love, Camille. Let's get started. Casey and Jenny were on their way to the park to have a picnic. Help, called Abby, their friend from school and neighbor. My colorful cockatiel Coco is missing. She is not in her birdcage. Do not worry, Abby. We are on the case, said Casey. Jenny and I will help find Coco by following the clues. Casey opened up her book of pets to learn more about cockatiels. Look, proclaimed Casey. It says they are small parrots and part of the cockatoo family originating from Australia. They are friendly, gentle, and affectionate pets. Coco is very friendly, said Abby. When was the last time you saw Coco? Asked Casey. When I fed her this morning, said Abby. She likes to eat fresh vegetables and seeds. Did you close the cage door afterwards? Asked Jenny. I think I did, responded Abby. Let's go to Abby's house to check, said Casey. Casey took a closer look at the cage and noticed something. A clue, proclaimed Casey. It seems the latch on the cage door is broken. Your colorful cockatiel flew the coop, said Jenny. We must find her. Casey tore a piece of paper from her notebook and started to write on it. She wrote, Lost Pet, and sketched a drawing of a cockatiel. We first need to hang flyers to let people know that Abby's colorful cockatiel is lost, said Casey. As Casey and Jenny walked down the block to hang flyers, they ran into Casey's best friend, Dan. Dan, have you seen a colorful cockatiel? Asked Casey. What color is the cockatiel? Inquired Dan. She is gray with white on her wings and orange patches on her cheeks, described Casey, as Jenny showed Dan the page in the book. No, replied Dan, but I heard a lot of birds chirping at the park. A clue, proclaimed Casey. Cockatiels like to chirp, sing, and socialize with others. At the park entrance were two big trees. Casey and Jenny saw a group of crows cawing on the branches. Caw, 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 cawed the crows. But they did not see Coco the cockatiel chirping, singing, or socializing. Casey looked at her book again. Cockatiels not only like trees, but they also like shrubs, said Casey. There are shrubs further in the park, exclaimed Jenny. This way. Casey and Jenny arrived at the shrubs in the park. They did not hear any birds chirping, and there was no sign of Coco. But then Casey saw something. A clue, proclaimed Casey. A gray feather. She picked the feather up and examined it. That means Abby's cockatiel was here, said Jenny. Casey searched the pet book again. It says here that cockatiels are also smart, said Casey. Perhaps smart enough to go home, said Jenny. I have an idea, exclaimed Casey. We need to put the cage near the place where Coco flew away. Because she's probably trying to find her way home, said Jenny. That is correct, replied Casey. We also need to fix the latch on the cage. Casey and Jenny went back to Abby's house and placed the cage near an open window with the fixed cage door open. What is Coco's favorite treat? Asked Casey. We should put some in the cage. Sunflower seeds, but I do not have any more, replied Abby. I do. Good thing I always keep pet treats in my vest, proclaimed Casey. Casey placed a pile of sunflower seeds in the cage, then stood by and waited. Just then, chirp, chirp, chirp. Casey heard a chirp outside the window. It was Coco, the colorful cockatiel. There she is, said Casey. At that moment, Coco swooped onto Abby's shoulder, rubbed her cheek lovingly against Abby's, then flew into the cage. Casey closed the cage door and securely latched it. Abby was overjoyed and so delighted for the return of her cockatiel. "Coco is no longer lost," said Abby. "I am so happy that you are reunited with your feathered friend," said Casey. "Case closed," exclaimed Jenny. "Let's go on our picnic and celebrate our successful case," said Casey. And there they are at their picnic. The end. Well, thank you for joining me in Casey's Pet Detective Agency, and a big thank you to Camille Brown for her generosity and the creation of this book.